I'd like to open the regular meeting of the Moose Lake City Council on Wednesday, May 8, 2024 at 4 p.m. here in the City Hall. The first item is the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The next item is the agenda. And do we have any? I do have one addition. And it's under new business. I'm gonna put it before 6A, and it is this handout you got on the old tower station tower placement. So I'm gonna put that above A, please. Do you have any other additions or changes to the agenda? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve the agenda? So moved. Do I have a second? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carried. Just for everyone's information, we do have one counselor that did not make the meeting, I'm not sure if he'll come in late or not, but he did notify us that he would be able to be here for the start of the meeting. Then moving on to the consent agenda. This is 2A, the minutes. Number one, the regular city council meeting for April 10th, 2024. And number two, the joint special city council meeting for April 30th, 2024. Do I have any discussions or questions on the minutes? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve the minutes? Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carried. Under consent agenda 2B, the financial reports. Number one, the city accounts payable for April 2024. Number two, the city financial statements for April 2024. And number three, the liquor store profit loss statements for April 2024. Any questions, discussion, or additions on the financial reports? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve the financial reports?
So moved.
Do I have a second? Second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carried. The next item, number three, is public comment. This time reserved for comments from the public on matters not listed on the agenda. Please keep comments to 3 minutes. Hearing none, we'll move on then to number four. And this is departmental reports. A, the police chief, Chad Pattison, for department report April 2024.
Councilors, Mayor, Administrator Owens. So for April 2024, we had 79 calls, so it went down. I don't know if it was the weather, it seemed like it rained all April or what, but calls did go down a little bit. We had 25 business checks, 20 last month, 15 extra patrols, there were 16 the month before, 4 traffic stops, still working on getting that number up to the last month. Community engagements, there wasn't any, but now with spring and summer coming, the community stuff's going to fire up, so that number will definitely go up. Assist to other agencies, none. And then there was 45 regular calls for service, 47 last month, and no medical calls that I had to go to, which is probably a good thing. And there was 3 the month before, so 79 total, 90 the last month of March. So I'm guessing the calls will probably start going up now that it's warmer and the sun's out, but we shall see. Any questions for me?
Just thank you from
Oh,
the bottom of
yeah,
my heart
absolutely.
for all your work.
And I know this is next month, but the Moose Run went very good. I don't know that I totally agree with the route they ran this year, crossing Arrowhead Lane twice. That got a little fishy, but otherwise it went good.
Well, appreciate it very much and a good
Absolutely.
job. I would like to ask the council, well, Chris is a liaison, Alyssa, if we could schedule a meeting with you in the next week. I just wanted to go over a couple things.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, whenever you let me know, I'll be there.
Chris, you open to that? Okay, good.
Sounds good, will do.
All right.
All right.
Thanks a lot,
Yep,
chief,
no
appreciate it
problem.
very much.
Thank you.
4B, the city superintendent, Phil Ettner, department report for April 2024.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council, Administrator Owens. We're busy. If you guys haven't noticed, I think we're digging almost every single street already in town. It's kind of a mess, but there's a lot of repairs to make and we're getting it done. So soon to be finished. We're hoping to have the majority of these repairs taken care of, I'll be by the end of this month. So we'll be back to normal operation. So we'll start in the water department. The water department, the month of April distributed 6.4 million gallons drinking water. Hydrant flushing is complete. Water system repairs are currently happening today, yesterday, all last week, and the remainder of this week as far as service line repairs, some service breaks we have, some main breaks we have. So we're working through those. The sewer department, the collection system, collected 13.8 million gallons of wastewater in the month of April. So as you see the spring weather out there, those numbers are crawling up. The treatment facility, we did do a spring discharge here last month. Everything worked good for that. All parameters were met. The PC is happy, we're happy. So things are moving in the right direction. The 2024 sanitary sewer lining project, I know there's a little bit of stuff on that in the engineering minutes, but there was 9 repairs that had to be made prior to being able to line that section of pipe. Those repairs have been made. They were made last week and the week prior to that. So with that being said, street department right-of-way clearing, we got a lot of sidewalk to pour this year. We already did pour last week already, we did a few pours. So we'll be continuing to do that throughout the summer. Hot mix plants fired up yesterday, so we'll be putting out some blacktop here shortly. It'll be, the whole May orange construction cone season, construction in Moose Lake. So we're doing the best we can with what we got. Cemeteries, did have 2 burials last month. The water systems are on at both cemeteries, by the way, as well. Spring cleanup for those cemeteries are still underway. We'll have that finished up by Memorial Day. The campground, that is all fired up as well with all the utilities. That starts Friday. It opens Friday? Yes, that opens Friday. So everything is going on okay there. We're in the process of taking applications for the two open positions that we have. I think that closes Friday. Is that correct? Okay. The arena, that's pretty much shut down for the year. We got a gun show coming up next week. We got a library book sale, and there's one other event. I cannot remember what it is, but anyway, it's there. The recycling shed is running. And then what else I run? That is running. That's up and running. It's going good. We're waiting on the point of sale system and the computer for that. That should be by the end of May. We should have that in place. And other than that, there's a lot to talk about later, but that's all I have for now. Let me see if there's any questions.
Well, I just wanted to comment, I had an opportunity to look at the infrastructure firsthand on First Street when Tim was digging the other day, and I was,
How did it look?
well, I didn't get right in the hole, but I was like, wow, that is an old pipe.
Yep. Yep. A lot of them are. It's we need a lot of repairs.
Yeah, it was very interesting to
Yes.
see that, the age of that pipe in the home.
Very, very well. Yeah, absolutely.
I had a question for
Yes,
you,
of
of course.
Absolutely.
What was that material that they found that was put into the house up on Fifth Street, where Ray and Donna, they had that sewer replaced? It was
Oh,
a
this-
different material that I had heard of.
The sewer service that was.
Yeah, what the heck was that?
Orangeburg? Okay.
What is that made out of?
That is essentially like asphalt roofing, so like shingles, right? The tar paper that goes out underneath the shingles. It was very common in the 40s to use that. It's like a roll of tar paper and the inside is hollowed out. That was when there was a big metal shortages back in the 40s during World War II.
I suppose.
Yep, and there's
How did
actually
they-
a lot of that in town.
How the heck did they hook that up to the main line in the middle of the road?
Back in the day,
Yeah, tar?
I would assume tar. It could also be lead, because they did have brass adapters and they would pour them with lead back in the day. That was way before my plumbing days even came around, but there's multiple ways, yep. A lot of those types of upgrades that you see, those cut down on I&I too, big time.
Now, if they have that, like, I don't even know, maybe I have that once it leaves the house, can you put in a sleeve or, you know, the
A liner.
liner?
Yep, you can if the pipe is structurally sound enough to do so. Yep. A lot of the times they're not, they're collapsed or they're oval shaped, so when it's Orangeburg, it's really tough.
So that happens, you can't even line them.
Well, some you can, if the integrity of the pipe is fine, you can. Liners, it definitely is a lot better in clay type material or in cast iron.
Okay.
How many would you estimate would probably have in town of those lines? More up on the hill than,
Yeah, Sioux Hill has more, definitely than them.
Probably built between the end of the war or during the war till maybe 47, 48 when steel, more material was available.
Correct, I would say that 35 to possibly 45, 48.
Okay, good.
Would be my guess.
Well,
That's-
I didn't know there was such a stuff, so it's good to me
There's,
to know.
there's a lot of different types out there. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Good job, appreciate it. Under 4C, Municipal Liquor Store, Department Report, April 2024.
Thank you, members of the council, Mayor Shaw, Administrator Owens. Liquor store, we continue to do well down there. Marty's doing a fantastic job. She went to the MMBA conference, so I'm happy about that. She met with Brenda from the MMBA. They exchanged some ideas as far as efficiencies, so we continue to improve down there. Numbers are we're about right where we want to be. You'll see on the expenses on the report that you were given, it's up a little bit. That's because we took advantage of some sales that were going on, so you'll see that come off. Let's see, we met with Gardner as far as the heating and cooling controls at last liquor meeting. That went good. In fact, it might turn into a bigger project, so Phil and I are actually meeting with Gardner next Monday. So all in all, good things happening. Any questions about the liquor store?
Sounds good. Appreciate it very much, Ryan.
You're welcome.
Moving on to 4D Technology, Library Department.
Yeah, so there the big thing is we did have the server upgrade last week. All in all, went pretty darn well. There were a couple of things that we need to backtrack as far as mapping for people's printers to print stuff. There might be still one lingering thing with the credit card machine in the DMV that we need to figure out. Perhaps Bill's Banyan, which is his way to look at reporting and stuff. But all in all, it's one of the better upgrades that I've been a part of. So that was good. Let's see, the DMV's new passport machine came in. We went and picked that up from Water and Light. It was delivered there. So we'll get that assembled at some point here and get it up and running. And then, I'm not sure if I mentioned it or not, but the library Wi-Fi was fixed, so that's up and running.
Any questions, council? Nope, great, thank you very much, appreciate it, Ryan.
Yep.
Moving on to 4E City Engineer, the monthly report for May 1st, 2024.
Oh yes, a lot of the items on the engineering report for the meeting minutes this month we'll cover later on in the meeting. One item that I do want to discuss is the Trunk Highway 73 Phase 2 of the trail. So we are working on design still, and at this point in time we're working through the exact trail route. And so we're in the process of looking at what easements exist and what is the best way and the most fiscally effective way to approach the design for this trail. So a couple of options we're working through, and we'll have more up-to-date information as soon as we jump a few of these hurdles. And it's possible, we're gonna have to meet with DOC regardless of what option is selected, because some of the trail will be on property that's adjacent to their facility too. So we're working on those meetings in the background and working through design and the route of the trail, so more to come on that. Again, that trail is fully funded by grant money, and so we're trying to optimize that as best we can. And so we will have more information to share as time passes along. In addition, I wanted to discuss the city did have representation down at a Senate Finance Committee meeting. You'll see that in the meeting minutes as well. So Superintendent Edner attended a presentation with our city engineers for a sewer lining project. And so that was done in front of the Senate Finance Committee. So hopefully we'll hear in the next couple of weeks how that went. In addition to that, you'll see that there were submissions to the office of Senator Amy Klobuchar and Senator Tina Smith. Those submissions were worked on with our city engineers just to make sure that we are accessing it and attempting to get, funding and projects funded for the city from all available avenues and resources that we have as a city. So I did incorporate those submission documents in the reports and correspondence this month as well, so you can look at the applications and what was involved in those funding submissions. So if you have any questions, please let me know.
Yeah, one item I want to talk about it in the engineering part, it has come up in the last month. And that was a complaint on the trail on the east side of the lake, and it crosses Portage River. I'm glad Mike is here, actually, because I think he worked on that with the county. From the bridge, it goes over the Portage River to, well, it clears that low area through the swamp, and then it comes up to the road access. It goes to the freeway. And it floods every year, so the complaints I got that it is unusable for periods of time in the spring, and if there's a heavy rain, it floods over. And I tried to find out if the county would repair that, or if they would add it as a project. And they said, no, that's Moose Lake's responsibility. And what I could find out of Moose Lake, all of those were handed over to the county. But Mike, do you remember the final discussion? Because you were on that committee. If you could come up to the podium and share whatever you know.
Thanks, Mayor and Council. Yeah, from the bridge south, it's the responsibility of the DNR. So the bridge itself is the responsibility of DNR. And then from there north to 27, that's actually a township right away. So then that goes to the township.
Interesting.
On the, on the sewer line now up here, yeah, that's county owned that sewer line, so that would be their responsibility there, the county.
Interesting. Huh. So that's why the county didn't know anything about that, and I couldn't find anything on that either. So,
Yep. Who
township.
owns it is responsible for it, yeah.
Okay.
So, thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Mike, I appreciate that. That's information we couldn't find anywhere. That's dangerous. Mike Peterson knows it. Thank you very much.
You put that mic a little closer to
Moving on to 4F Chamber of Commerce updates.
Oh yeah, we attended the Chamber of Commerce meeting today at the Lazy Moose. Just a couple of tidbits to share. So they are up to 120 members, so their membership drive has gone really well this year. That surpasses last year, so that's really exciting. Their executive director, Michelle, has been working really hard on that, and so that's excellent. In addition, there will be a ribbon cutting at the Ole Art Gallery on Friday, May 31st at noon. And so that particular event will essentially be the kickoff of the new art gallery in town. So there's a lot of discussion about that and just wanting to encourage participation. As far as the summer activities and events, the chamber continues to work through those. The city's involved in a lot of them from a planning and facilitation standpoint, so we continue to meet regarding those events. Some new updates, the flyover has been requested for the parade again this year, so we've not got confirmation on that, but the chamber has made the request for the flyover to happen. In addition, the Nine and Dine golf theme was announced today, and that theme is your favorite Western character. And so that should be a great fun event as well. All of the event details for the summer events are on their website if anybody has any additional questions or would like to browse them.
Yes.
I just have a clarification. On here it says the ribbon cutting was at 2 p.m.
There's a error on the agenda, she said, so it's at noon.
Noon.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to number 5, previously discussed business. Number A, Moose Lake CIP 2024 update, road project street selection discussion.
Yes, so at the last city council meeting, we had discussed selection of and prioritization of the next road project. Throughout that discussion, council had requested that we update the 2019 CIP list. And so with that, Superintendent Etner and our city engineers went around. And so, Phil, if you could give it kind of a little bit of background about what that process looked like with you and the engineers, and then what was discovered.
Yeah, so starting on page 53 in your packet, you'll notice those top 10 projects, I believe, are updated now with current pricing, and then of course the importance of getting them done, or the condition of them, has changed a little bit. I do just want to call out the 55 and 56, they look at the same page. Basically what it is one page is out of the 19 CIP plan, the other page is out of the 24 updated plan. The biggest change you'll see is First Street did jump to the top of the list. That was indeed done basically because there is also a force main that is in that road that was not accounted for previously. And obviously we didn't just install a force main, so it was missed on the initial survey. With that being said, we looked at road condition, looked at water and sewer utilities, we looked at stormwater, we looked at traffic loading, and then we looked at any road-based material that we could see through the blacktop. And it was actually quite surprising how much road-based material is sticking through the blacktop, and that's how poor our blacktop is. So I did want to just make that one fair call out there as to why that ended up in a different order. I guess for me, if you look at page 54 and that lower right-hand corner, that 1 through 10 project list, that is a boatload of money in 10 projects. A boatload. And I mean, this survey doesn't lie. Every one of these streets in this town, we all know are in tough shape, and we need help. So however we get that, however we can get around to getting that taken care of is huge. Any way we can find funding is amazing. And I know from a public works standpoint, I'm doing everything I can to try to find options and avenues for that. And I know admin as well. But yes, well,
How many projects are on this list, do you know? I mean, the full list.
I think the full list is between 60 and 65.
Okay.
Yep.
So, does anybody have about 25 million to give us?
25 million?
Yeah.
I don't know if that's gonna touch it. So with that being said, that big change of First Street flip-flopping a little bit was definitely a little eye-opening, but that is exactly why that was the case. So.
I had a question on, with where we're at right now with First Street, how long will it take us to save enough money to do that project?
So Mayor Shaw, there's a couple of variables with that. We have the gravel pit that could be contributing. And so depending upon prioritization and funding of getting the gravel pit operational, that then reduces the project cost by about 30%. And then we also have the accrual of the sales tax. And so both of those metrics kind of contribute to the overall annual savings at this point in time, which then would determine the length of the project. So there has to be a commitment to the savings for the gravel pit to get it operational. Then that would reduce the cost by 30%. If you take the 30% off the 2.5 million, not done that. If you're looking for how many years it'll take to save to get to that project, we'll just have to do a little bit of math here.
Okay, we can do that offline here. It gives me an idea. You told me the amount, I got an idea how much we are bringing in a year, so that kind of gives me
Yeah.
an idea.
So 30% of the 2.5 million is $750,000. So you could reduce the project cost by the $750,000. That would be about the 30% contribution from from a city gravel pit.
And sales tax is about 250.
225.
So it kind of gives you an idea about how many
Correct.
years it'll be.
Correct.
Just a suggestion, and I know I brought this up before, but I really believe, and I'm not gonna bring it up again, I've done it too many times, and months click by. We really should look at a grind and overlay on, if not the streets throughout the town, because I've asked about that, and that's always been no, but from 73 right at the lights, coming into the bank, that intersection, that is an entrance to the downtown area, and that is horrible. It's in terrible shape. And I know you've attempted, to fill pothole after pothole after pothole, and putting the slurry on there, which did help, but I just want the council to consider, take a look at it this next month, going up in front of the city hall to Douglas, I believe, on top of the hill. This would be something for you guys next year to think about, planning in the spring for the following year, because we've already budgeted everything this year, but I just wanted to bring that up once, take a look at it. It's the entrance to your downtown area. To me, that should be a grind and overlay. It's not even on the list here, or so far down that I don't even see it, which means it would be 20, 30 years. You can't do that to the downtown area. Sometime you're gonna have to look at that. That's just my opinion. It's up to you guys. Next, when you plan the next projects for the next year. Anything for Phil? Anyone? Yes,
Can I ask a
sir.
quick question?
Could you go up to the stadium? Or stadium?
Have we looked at the LRIP program for the state?
Thank you. We did apply for the LRIP grant.
Okay.
The LRIP grant, we actually applied for First Street this year. We were notified in the last couple of weeks here that we were not awarded the
selected.
LRIP grant, but we did apply for it. Thank you so much for bringing that forward. Our city engineers help us apply for the LRIP grant on an annual basis, and we'll continue to do so. So every year, we're gonna try and put in an application for LRIP. And so while we're saving, we can put in that same application next year and the year following, and we'll continue to do so.
And that'll be a matching grant if we get it.
Yeah.
And we continuously do it. We did get one several years ago. We did Kenwood South. That was like 800,000, Phil?
It's part of Third Street as well.
Yeah, part of Third Street, so, and I'll tell you what happens, a lot of times when you are awarded one, you have literally hundreds of cities applying for them. So if you get one, you usually kind of transition to the bottom of the
The
list.
back of the line again?
Yeah, but it is, they try to look at need also, and I think would help us there, because that was at that time entrance to the hospital and nursing home, so that kind of raised it up. But all we can do is keep trying, and we definitely will.
A match is better than nothing, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
Even a match on First Street
Yeah.
would still mean the city would have to contribute 5 years worth of sales tax,
Yeah.
just to pay for that.
Right.
Ken, what you
Yes.
brought up about this street out front here, the main street coming into town, is it possible to get some kind of quote on how much an overlay project of that type would cost?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I could get square footage quotes. Fairly easy, doesn't cost us anything, I just gotta run some numbers, just to get a ballpark.
Okay.
You know, we won't pass this on to the engineers unless we get serious and we'll get hard numbers, but
And then one other thing, last month we had a little bit of discussion on whether or not, if we did not have the amount of money to do the whole First Street project, if we could cut off that one block and look at just doing part of that. We had discussed a little bit of that too.
From First up to Elm, I mean, from
From-
73 up to Elm, excuse
Oh,
me.
yeah.
Yeah, and then I believe Doug had brought up possibly using some of the savings that are saving on the police department this year by not having it fully staffed, about being able to use possible some of that funding to do one of our projects too.
Yeah, we won't know until the contract's actually in place with the county and the start date. But, yeah, there's going to be some funds available from that.
So we do have a meeting with the county on May 13th, and so hopefully that will give us a better idea about start date and or phasing into the, having deputies available to the city. And so once we know a contract start date and how we're going to phase into having deputies available to the city, then that changes the cost for these first couple of months here. And then we'll know what would be left over. We can do that assessment then of what's left from the 2024 budget, once we know what the cost to facilitate law enforcement is through the rest of the year. So we should have more information that we can share. We do have a meeting on the 13th and hoping to make progress on that. And so if we get the answers that we're looking for, then we can put that as an agenda item for June.
Okay, thank you.
Actually, and that's what I should have stated, the meeting I want, with Chris, with the liaison and the chief and you, is after that meeting.
Yeah.
So we sit down and review, you know, what came out of that meeting.
Thank you.
Make some plans and whatever we need. Thank you. Evidently you have part B. The pedestrian crosswalk rapid flashing beacon request for Highway 73 and Lakeshore Drive.
So last month's meeting, there was a resident in town that asked you guys to look into a rapid flashing beacon for the crosswalk from the brewery and the arena. So Earl Allen, 7327, or 73 and Lakeshore Drive. On 57, page 57 and 58, there's an email communication from me to MnDOT. Obviously goes 58 to 57, the way the chain works. Nuts and bolts of this is that unit would have to be paid for by the city of Moose Lake, cost of $40,000 to $50,000. That unit would also have to be maintained for its lifetime by the city of Moose Lake. So we did do our due diligence, we did look into that, that is definitely not budgeted. So however we want to move forward or put it off to the side and give it some thought and see what we can do.
Are there any, that we know of, safety related grants for things like that? Maybe we should check on that.
So there's nothing off the top of my head, but it
Yeah,
definitely doesn't
me
mean they're not out
also.
there. Yep, but I could definitely look into it.
We could ask the engineer group if they've ever ran into that. I would think or hope there is something in the safety related area for something like that. And the only thing, then the next step is to make sure it's on the agenda in August for budget discussion for the following year, since we're not budgeted for it. It's way too much to come out of the general fund. So,
Phil,
Yes, sir.
is there a sign there now, just a regular plain sign?
There is.
crosswalk.
At a paper
Crosswalk
crosswalk. Yep.
sign.
Not on both sides, both north and south, there is.
Wasn't there once in a while before they'd have one sitting on the street crosswalk?
Yes, and those were,
Turning lane now.
yes, And MinDOT, we had a bunch of them out, MinDOT wanted a lot of them removed, and we settled with 2, 1 on each end of town. I told my crew they should be out on Monday. I don't know if they made it out, to be honest with you. I will check on that. But yes, they do need to be
We still have them.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, we do. Yeah. I will keep in mind though, that is a state right away. So we cannot just go willy-nilly do whatever we want to in state right away. We need to ask permission, pull a permit. There's typically a permit fee that goes with that. The temporary centerline delineators, they never struggle with those. They just, we put them up and they're fine. And there was an issue with the volume that we had at one point, which is why they wanted them to take it down. So, but yeah.
Any other questions? Hearing that, thank you, Phil, very much. Moving on to new business 6. This is actually before 6A, the tower station, the old tower, the placement of it. If whoever is the spokesperson, please come up.
Council, Mayor Shaw, Administrator Owens. Thank you for getting us on the agenda this morning.
Sure.
We're looking for permission to move the Phillips 66 tower from its position right south of the Sioux Line Event Center and to put it predominantly right in front of our building to attract traffic, people into our museum and into our city. I believe you all should have something there.
You do?
Yes, and that includes a short story of the tower. It was on a gas station in 1999, or I'm sorry, 1988, I believe. The tower station was torn down. Someone took the tower, and we received it in 1999. And we have plans, if approved, to move the tower to the in front of our area there, and to completely refurbish it and put lights in the top. Not circular lighthouse lights, but just some nice lights. So.
To me, as long as it's out of the right of way, Phil, do you know what well, actually, your building where you have that old putt-putt, that's actually off the right of way.
We're planning on moving that also. That's kind
Okay.
of where we want to put the tower. So we're
Okay.
going to move the sled to another position.
Yeah.
And then hopefully get some nice sidewalks in there so people can, like a little mini park.
Yeah. Do you know that the distance?
We
is
can
so that-
definitely figure that out.
Yeah.
I can contact MinDOT, and we can get the edge of the right-of-way shots, we know.
The only other thing I could think of is that you don't want to put it over any kind of power lines, water lines, or anything else, so you don't have to move it if something goes wrong underneath.
I'm Mike Twomey, one of the directors for the Historical Society. I did talk to Power and Light, and I know there's a minimum setback
Yeah.
from them, so I'll have it verified when I actually get around to
Thanks.
putting permanent locations.
Do you have consensus by the council?
Yes.
Do you have consensus?
Okay.
Go ahead.
Thank you for the communication.
Yeah.
Thank
Kind of
you.
looking forward to seeing that. I mean,
Yes.
it's such a history in Moose Lake.
Take any volunteer help we can get.
I am a great supervisor. Mike, I can be there and direct.
I have plenty of supervisors.
I can't live.
Thank you. And you guys are you're welcome to stay or leave at your choice.
All right, I'm out of here then.
Moving on to 6B, general fund checking account transfer discussion.
What about in this one?
Did I miss one?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
It's all right.
The municipal liquor store off-sale THC beverage discussion.
So last month, we met with the liquor committee and outlined kind of what we want to do. We'd like to start selling the THC drinks in the store itself, not in the bar. And it's a pretty painless process to do that right now. Just got to register with the state. In 2025, they will start mandating that people get licenses. It's probably going to be about $500. But for now, this is where it's at. we wanted to let the dust settle and kind of figure things out. In fact, the MMDA was recommending all municipals wait to do this for a while, but now it's starting to pick up steam. So I did put kind of like a case study in front of you guys. It's this sheet, it's an inventory sales report just for THC drinks. This is from Apple Valley. They started doing it. And this is just for 3 months. You can see their profit, gross revenue. So just an idea. I'm sure they have a lot more volume than we do, but we want to start to capture some of that revenue. So again, the committee was all for it. Let's go ahead and start going, but we thought we'd better bring it to council as well and get a stamp of approval.
Isn't the state right now still developing the laws on all this?
No, it's going to continue to change, yeah, sure.
So what the state is developing is for the actual plant and not the edibles portion of things. So the edibles have been approved. There's actually THC drinks being sold in other locations around the city currently. So we're a little behind from that perspective.
So the THC, that's the active element that supposedly, that's what people want it.
That's correct.
Okay. I'll open it up for discussion with the council.
I know they're very popular.
Great, so you raise your hand.
Now, the question on what? Scoop of ice cream, what is that? You get something to put in the ice cream or what?
I have no idea what that is.
It's a-
Probably a different flavor that store had that had the element in it, THC. I'm not recommending these are the things we buy. This is just the last page of the summary of their report. Yes.
But then basically everything in the package store is gonna be like in bottles and so on and so forth.
Yeah, it'll just be a little section. We'll start off small and see what kind of traction we get.
I only know a little bit about this because I
Yep.
know a distributor. But yeah, these are just names of
Right.
stuff
Yeah, that's what
to
I
kind
hear,
of get
but
you
I
the
just
wide, I
wanted
think.
to-
But yeah, it's like a bottle of, that you buy a
Sure.
beer or whatever.
Anyone else? Well, I'm fine. I'll just make a statement, I'm not in favor of anything with THC, and that's just me personally. And just so the council knows, I won't vote for it. But it is a council decision. You're looking for a motion tonight, correct?
Yeah, to move forward and then go ahead and register and start doing it.
Okay.
I mean, we'll follow all the rules if any new rules come out and get licensed and all that stuff, so.
Before I ask for a motion, Chief, do you have any input to this because we're talking about a drug?
Not really. I mean, it's not a whole heck of a lot different than alcohol. It just, it causes the same effects basically. If it's regulated correctly, I don't think it's that bad of a thing. As long as it's regulated correctly, like the alcohol sales are and stuff like that. It is what it is. It's legal in the state now, so people are gonna use it either way, so.
Understand.
Yeah.
Thank you for your.
Yeah, in all honesty, I don't
Yeah.
see it as too terribly much worse than alcohol, to be honest with you.
And not having it in the bar takes a huge liability off of us.
Correct.
This would just be in the store.
Understand. Council, decision, motion? Anything?
This was, who said, the liquor committee recommended it? Okay, I'll recommend that we approve the sale of off-sale THC beverages, starting at a smaller scale.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No. Motion carried. Thank you very much, Ryan.
You're welcome.
Moving on to 6C, Essentia Health, City of Moose Lake, Employee Fitness Services Discussion.
Just
B?
We skipped B.
It's all right.
What's that?
We skipped 6B. Here, Sean.
Again?
It's
He
okay.
got jumbled up with the tower. The checking account.
It is, oh, got you.
Yes.
B.
Yes,
That's
B.
okay. So we've talked about this several times. I did put a letter in front of everyone. This is just stating we fill out all the appropriate documentation to be able to get our new account up and running. The next part is actually transferring some money, and then there is a laundry list of places we need to notify to get transfers out of this account. Personally, I'd like to get this done as soon as possible, because I'm gonna have to bank reconciliation 2 accounts at the same time. It's not gonna be fun. So the sooner we can transfer everything over, the better, but I also don't wanna make any mistakes. So my recommendation is to start with just the city payroll, make sure that's going well, and move on from there. So my recommendation would be, I guess we transfer $200,000 into the new account that was created due to the check fraud months ago.
Oh, gotcha.
So looking for a motion from council. And this is just based on the account being compromised. First National Bank is recommending we establish a new account. And so we'll go through the process of transitioning everything over.
Being the lower amount of security, you know.
You got it.
Yeah, it's probably a smarter way to do it. Any discussion by council?
I just have a question.
Yeah.
So if we're doing payroll starting out,
Yep.
and there's any sort of hiccups, and then how fast are they gonna be able to fix it? Because
Right away, I'll be working with
because people will
them.
be
Yep.
relying on their paycheck, so I don't want.
We'll know the day before, so,
Okay,
yep.
okay. Then I'll make a motion, we transfer $200,000 into our new account at First National Bank and start with payroll.
Do you have a second?
A second?
Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Mike
All
Hutter.
right, I know you want to get to this one.
He's ready to proceed.
As part of our health and wellness plan for the city and its team members, Ted and I actually had a meeting with Essentia Health a few months back, and they drafted this idea of fitness services for the city of Moose Lake team members. This is really, I'm not looking for consensus or anything, it's strictly informational at this time. I think we'll continue to go back and forth and see what else is out there, but just letting you guys see it now, if you have any questions. Yeah.
What if we had more than 25 individuals that wanted to participate?
That's where they capped it off on.
That was a question of ours as well.
How would we determine who gets the?
Correct. So not ideal, and the cost is not something the city can afford at this time. So essentially, it's kind of back to the drawing board, but visibility that we're working on it. And then hopefully, it's a conversation starter for other opportunities, either with, another entity or continue to dive in with them. This was their first offer to the city, but this won't work.
It's great, they're willing to, put something together, so we'll just keep on it.
I was hoping they would do it per individual, because what if we agreed to that, get 12,000 and only 2 people joined, or did it?
Right.
I mean, that's not very efficient. I was hoping like they'd give us a discount on each employee that chose to do it. But, like you said, that's a starting point.
Phase
We
2
don't know
coming.
where it'll lead to.
Do they have no interest in doing it that way?
We brought it up several times.
Yeah.
This is, I guess, just the first round of what their idea was, so
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Moving on to 6D, Moose Lake Campground Seasonal Camper Agreement Discussion.
Good evening, Council, Mayor Shaw, Administrator Owens. At the Park Board meeting on Monday, we presented a seasonal campers agreement, and the Park Board has recommended passing this agreement for all seasonal campers starting this year, the 2024 camping season. We started looking into this just because it seems like throughout the past 2 years that I've been here, it doesn't seem like we had a very clear understanding of what the expectations are for our seasonal campers. We would just have them look over the terms and agreement for normal daily weekend campers. And some of the things that seasonal campers encounter aren't the same as the things that weekend campers encounter. So this agreement just outlines when their property can be brought to the campground, when payments are made. If payments aren't made by a certain date, then they forfeit their site and need to be put back on the waiting list. Construction of storage sheds and decks. This is something council saw a few months ago. Outlining what they can and can't put there. Anything on the ground needs to remain under 6 inches in height. Household trash. We've had some, at the end of the season, there was a lot of things that people dumped at our dumpsters that were not just regular household trash, so this outlines what is accepted in our dumpsters and what is not. Golf carts, you must have a driver's license to be driving your golf cart. Let's see, anything else that's notable? Oh, seasonal campers are limited to 3 dogs per site, and this also notes that they should not be in the playground or on the beach. And I believe that's it. In addition to that, at the end, we did include a camper code of conduct, just to reiterate that respectful behavior is expected at all times with seasonal campers, with other campers, and our campground staff. So this was recommended by the Park Board, and just looking for a motion to approve so that I can send this out to seasonal campers before the season starts on Friday.
I just have a little question.
Sure.
Under pets and the up-to-date rabies vaccination,
Oh, yes.
how are we gonna enforce that? Do we require that they submit a copy of the?
I'm not sure if that's something we want to take the time to enforce, or if it just is something that ends up being a problem. That's
Well,
definitely something that we will take council into thought.
I guess, I mean, I own a trailer park and we require that simply because if somebody gets bit,
So that
is
could be
this gonna
something
go under
that
our
we,
liability, or because
Sure.
if they say, oh, well, I have it, and then they really don't, I mean,
I'm going to request that this agreement be signed and returned to me, so I can just ask for a copy of the rabies vaccination certificate with the signed agreement.
and, or maybe talk to the insurance company, see what our liability is on that.
Sure, so essentially if they're signing off and it's kind of on your honor, does that then negate our liability and we don't have
Right.
to do the verification check? Just simply you've signed off and this is us doing our due diligence by having it as part of our agreement?
If I talk to the insurance.
Just for your information, similar things like this that we had to research for our baseball fields that we have, they're on city property. Even if they sign the agreement, we always are part of the liability, always. And that's just, and that's every city everywhere. They all have playgrounds, because that's the same thing with a playground and using the playground equipment and all that stuff. We always will have that liability.
I guess then maybe I'd change it to all pets must be up to date on rabies vaccination according to state law, and a copy must be provided with this.
Sounds good.
That's what I'd like to see. That's my recommendation.
Is that your motion? Well, I should ask, is there any other discussion? Yes, sir.
She's correct. Most people, if they take care of their dog, they have that certificate at all times. I mean, if, you know, I mean,
Or at
I'd
least have a
have
copy.
to look for it,
Yeah.
Mhm.
but yeah, but.
Yeah. Any other questions, discussion? Motion, do we have a motion from the floor and add in whatever is it you want appropriate for this?
I'll make a motion that we approve the seasonal campers agreement with the inclusion under the pets about providing a copy of their vaccination, up-to-date vaccination record.
When you talk to me, I should, is there a second?
I'll second.
We have a second. Any other questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carried. We could ask them if, because they probably don't have copy machines, if they brought it in, we could make a copy
Yeah,
of it.
and there's a printer with a copier at the campground office as well. So
Okay.
we can have
All
somebody
right.
else to use that.
Thank you very much. Good
Excellent.
job.
Thank you.
Do we have the next one too?
Good job, Keelan.
Thank you. Ready?
Moving on to 6E, Riverside Arena rental fee waiver, Moose Lake Hockey Blue Line Club Car Show fundraiser discussion.
So representatives from the Moose Lake Hockey Blue Line Club attended the park board meeting this past Monday. And so they have put in an application to rent the Riverside Arena for a car show. The fundraiser will essentially donate 100% of the proceeds to the Moose Lake Blue Line Club. It's going to be a new first annual event for the car show. At that meeting, the park board did recommend to council that the fee be waived. And some of the discussion was surrounding the fact that the Blue Line Club is the high school hockey entity, funding entity, and that they are a leasee of the arena. So we already have an established lease with the high school hockey, essentially, and the Blue Line Club is affiliated with that. So with them already being an established leasee and 100% of the proceeds going to that, that was the discussion that was had from a park board level. And so the recommendation to council is that the fee be waived as a result of those ties that we already have.
Discussion by the council or a motion?
Mayor Shaw?
Yes, sir.
Well, I guess, I agree we should do that, but it also sort of should be stated into a point that it's, that actually what we're doing, we're benefiting a hockey team, we're benefiting the school, and we're benefiting the arena to better things in this way. That's, yes, I'm in favor of it.
Thank you. Any other discussion, questions? Do you have a motion?
I'll make the motion to waive the fee for the Riverside Arena rental for the Blue Line Club car show.
Have a second?
Second.
Any further questions, discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you.
Mayor Shaw, the event will be June 29th from 10 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. at the Riverside Arena.
Is that a Saturday or something? Or?
Yes. Yes.
Thank you. Moving on to 6F, Water and Light Electric Utility Waiver 3-year extension discussion.
Okay, so I wanted to provide council with an update on where we're at right now as far as meetings and progress for the residential development. So the city administrative team has been meeting with the city engineers and the developer for design components. Topography has taken place, wetland delineation permits have occurred. And so with that, we've been talking about the rural versus the urban design for the residential development. And so where we were at is that the rural design penciled as far as for the developer it made sense. The urban design we were looking at having to cut some of the components in order for the project to be viable fiscally. And so we took a look at 4 components that essentially changed the design from rural to urban. Those components are curb and gutter, drain tile for storm sewer, sidewalks, and street lighting. And so the estimate for those 4 components for the entire residential development were coming up to about $542,000. The new partnership that the city has engaged with Water and Light over the past 2 years essentially waived the city's electric utility fees annually. And so what that looks like for the city is that's a fluctuation of about $180,000 of savings per year. And so I took a look at the $180,000 savings and drew that out over the course of 3 years. That comes to $540,000. Essentially, that covers the $542,000 cost of the urban design. And so we attended the most recent Water and Light Commission meeting and requested a 3-year extension. The 3-year extension would then give the $180,000 annually, or would free up. It's not giving, or no monies are being transferred. It just frees up that money out of the city's budget to then be dedicated to the urban design characteristics for the residential development. So the Water and Light made a motion to approve a 3-year extension. The contingencies on the motion included that the city council be willing to dedicate the $180,000 worth of savings annually to the residential development. Now, where we're at with the developer is we're looking at having 2 development agreements. One for the first 4 parcels of the residential development, and then a secondary residential development agreement for the remainder of the development. So the developer would like to engage in building this year still. So what we're looking at is it's essentially lot 46, 47, 48, and 49. I do have larger copies that I can distribute to council as well. It is the same thing that's in your packet, but I know it's pretty small. So we're looking at identifying those first 4 parcels. Those are multifamily designated at this time. So it would be, the developer would be building the duplexes on those first 4 lots yet, starting this year. Depending upon how those go, the developer would then engage in a development agreement for the remainder of the development. Essentially, it's kind of like a market test to see what the demand is, and essentially could initiate some cash flow for the rest of the project. Where we're at right now is the Water and Light Commission has put a January 1st deadline on the city having a signed development agreement with the developer for the remainder of the residential development outside these first 4 lots. So we've got a lot of work to do between now and December 31st with the developer. So we are highly engaged with these activities on a daily basis. If this goes well and we can get this residential development off the ground, essentially the ask of the council would be then to commit the $180,000 annually to be reimbursement for those items within the residential development. So looking for consensus to continue to move on these types of activities with this process in mind. Obviously, there'll be development agreements too that would come forward to council. We do have a timeline of January 1st that we're working towards, but really exciting that the Water and Light Commission was willing to commit to that type of partnership with the city again. And everybody is working collectively and collaboratively to try and get this residential development to come to fruition. So really exciting, looking for consensus today and motions later on as we continue to hit some of these milestones with development agreements.
Discussion?
I think it's very exciting.
I do too. Yes, sir.
Do you want a discussion on whether or not, which direction we want to go, either urban or not?
Thank
or
you for,
later?
thank you for bringing that forward, Councilor Sarla. So we, at one meeting a couple months ago, there was consensus from council to pursue the urban design, because that's always been the desired approach, right? So we're all working to try and make the urban design pencil, which is how this idea came to fruition. The developer wants to do the urban design as well. It just needs to make, the math needs to math, right? In order for it to make sense. So we did have consensus from council to utilize the urban design. That is the preferred approach by everybody. It also increases the lot value and the property value in itself. So from a city perspective, with funding off of property tax, the urban design is more beneficial to the city, which is why this partnership is so important. Those property values are increased, and then of course then the city is getting increased property taxes in return for each of those lots with those design characteristics in play.
Any other questions, discussion?
I was just gonna comment that, I guess, if we're gonna, do this development, I think we need to start it out right, and curb gutter, all that stuff is the right direction if the numbers work.
I appreciate you bringing that forward. It's, from a city perspective, when we were discussing things at an administrative level too, it's, we don't want to have to settle for the rural design. So what can we do? And Water and Light is on board to continue to partner with us. And then it's accountability and commitment from the city's perspective to then put the monies where we say we're going to put the monies, and then, essentially contribute to the urban design.
Anything else from the council? Drive consensus? Chris?
Yes.
Very good. We have consensus to move ahead.
Thank you.
Moving on to 6G, the skate ramp discussion.
Yes, Council, you'll see in your packet, there was a communication from the city's insurance agent. And so what happened was the city was receiving complaints about the safety of the skate ramp that's on city property at Riverside Arena. So an inquiry was made to the city's insurance agent and essentially said, what is the city's liability here? What does this look like? The communication that was received in return was, once you have a complaint and once you're notified that there could be structural integrity issues with that particular piece of equipment on city property, it essentially starts the clock. And your liability increases once you're notified and or you receive a complaint. So what we did at that point in time then was engage with the city's building official. Andy Sharp then went around and did an inspection and wrote up a report of what his findings were. That's also in the packet. And so these findings and this information was brought to the park board on Monday. All of the pictures were shared and all of the correspondence were shared with the park board as well. The park board did make a recommendation to the city council to remove the skateboard half pipe upon review of the findings from the city building official.
So we're looking for a motion to complete that process. Any questions, discussion, or motion? Yes, sir.
No, okay, basically what showed in the report that's gotta go. You wanna know, do we wanna build another one, move it, or what's the consensus?
Thank you. So today we're looking for a motion for removal, and it'll essentially be taken to a landfill and disposed of properly. The discussion at the park board level then is, what is the opportunity for replacement? Where is the right location for replacement? what is available to the city. There was a gentleman that was potentially willing to donate something of this nature. And so the park board has been doing that legwork for council and engaging with those people and having those discussions. A couple of areas have been called out as potential sites for something like that. And so, once we make a little more progress as a park board, we can bring that forward to council. So looking at the viability of replacing it, and what that looks like at the park board level currently. I guess
And it may be different items that are used instead of a half pipe,
Sure.
maybe it's just, you know, ramps and stuff, and it may be totally different.
And there are different locations being considered too.
Yeah, but basically, we want to consensus now to remove and get rid of it.
Correct.
Correct.
Yes.
I believe when this was brought in, it was a used item that was donated. And I think over the years, it has been used for more than just skateboarding or BMX bikes or whatever they use. And I don't recall that, I mean, you go by there more than I do. Is it used much anymore?
You'll see kids on there during the summer, you know, doing what I've seen skateboards, I've seen the BMX bikes
Yeah.
on it. You know, it's used, but it's intermittent.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
it could be because it's in such bad shape too.
well, and to me, it looks
Yeah.
more like a liability with no sides and
Absolutely.
protection. And
Yeah,
things have changed since it was put in
yeah.
whatever year that was.
Some of the discussion at the park board level has been that because of where it's located, there's dirt that gets on the ramp because it's not on a concrete slab, and then that actually becomes more of a safety issue and a hindrance for skaters. So the discussion has been if there's going to be a replacement opportunity, where is it, and can there be a slab? Because ultimately, if it's not functional or usable at its current location, then that wouldn't be the best place to put something back in either. So having all those discussions
There's so
continuous.
many other things you can do too, if you're doing cement where you don't even use a half pipe, you probably have seen little ramps and doing all kinds of different stuff. I'm sure a lot safer and not as expensive.
If we were to consider something else, I would probably say we seek out some more professional advice of what's
Yeah.
the best route to go rather than accept something that's, I mean, it was, we were very grateful when this gentleman, or I don't remember who donated it to us, but I mean, it was very gracious at that point, but I think we just need to get it removed, and then if they decide to do something else, seek some professional advice on how and where maybe would be better locations.
Thank you.
And Sandstone has one in their town.
Right, they put it right in their city square area, and there's all kinds of
I missed,
totally different ideas.
yeah, I missed the last park board, but I would have suggested that, you know, contact Sandstone and see how well theirs is used.
Yeah.
And any other ideas that they could, you know, information that they could give us.
Croquet built a whole new skate park too, so they would have data also on what really works or what is dangerous, or, because they've had it up and running for a few years.
Thank you.
Yeah, do we have consensus to have that removed?
Yes.
Yes.
So, it's a go. Thank you.
You want a motion or?
I think we just need, it was donated, and I think the park board already approved it. I think a consensus would be enough.
Okay. All right.
Moving on to 6H American Legion flagpole request discussion.
Good evening, Mayor and Council and city staff. I just wanted to start off by saying I noticed I didn't have a hard time recognizing one of your staff members because he's a redhead now. And Phil, I didn't even recognize you.
That's okay. I appreciate that, Mike,
Sure.
absolutely.
Yeah. Boy, Mike Peterson, I'm here as the adjutant for the American Legion posted here in Moose Lake. I'd like to, besides picking on Phil, I'd like to make a presentation.
You're doing good there, Mike. You're doing good there.
I couldn't help it.
I take them when you can get them, buddy. I get it.
And we're looking at, we like flags in town, and the city and town, everybody loves to see flags up, and you can see they're all over town. And we noticed there wasn't one in the main city park, used to be, so we worked on getting the school, the owner of the school, and he donated us the old flagpole that was somewhere around 1922. They put it in right after the fire. 1918, there was another fire at the school in the 30s, but it did survive that. What we're looking at, because the Legion's interested in it, is dedicating this to our hometown heroes. So those who went to school there and then enlisted in the service or drafted or whatever. And here I've got, maybe I can kind of see well here. I'll just talk real loud here. So this is kind of the dedication that we're looking at.
Thank you.
Something like that one. And so that flagpole's been flying a flag for over 100 years there, and has watched all these young men and women graduate and move on and then in believing in our democracy, joining the service, and protecting us for it, everyone's democracy. So we'd like to see them recognized in this flagpole. So here's what kind of the rough dedication is. Everything is still a draft. Nothing's for sure yet. And anything, but we're here to look at, we need to adopt the city's plan in placing this flagpole, and we have no problem with that. We're looking at donations, so it won't cost the city anything. We're putting this flagpole in. The only thing change from what a park board meeting would be that we're going to be sending a letter to the city engineers and asking them to donate or waive the expenses of engineering this for the city, because it came into over $1,000. I know being on the council, we've had engineering companies donate things in the past like this. And yeah, we didn't want this to be a burden for the city. We want this to be all donations, basically. So that's all I have. And anybody ask questions?
Well, no, it's a good idea.
It's a very good idea.
It's still the same site we kind of walked down.
Basically, right in there, if there's any, again, it's not, nothing's in granite, it's just a draft of the area where we needed, if somebody has something else better.
One thing that hit me is I start thinking about 4th Street when we did 4th Street, and we were told when you, because it's right in front of that big tree, when you cut down through those roots, they usually die. Do you remember, Phil, that whole discussion? Mm-hmm. And I don't know if we're talking, if we would kill that big tree by putting that big foundation, by cutting through the roots going down.
Sure. I think a meeting on site would probably, once approved here tonight, I think a meeting on site would be the next step.
Because there is all that open area from that tree going towards the walkway into the pavilion where we got a lot of room where it could go, where we wouldn't.
There's not any tree, and again, it depends on the type, if it's a
Right.
type root, type tree that goes down or one that roots are on the surface. I'm not sure, I think that's a cottonwood.
This base here, this would be the same as what moist looks like?
Correct, we're making a mirror image of, again, this is one of the ideas, a mirror image of the one that's down at Veterans Park. And we wanted the natural field stone because of the agates of the area, rocks are a big thing around here. And then we wanted to use black granite from St. Cloud's quarries and try to keep it kind of local. Just have a little bit of shade type lighting on it so you can see it from the road at night. And that's about it.
Very nice.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Did we want consensus to move ahead? Is that,
Yes, please.
okay, so consensus from the council to move ahead?
Yes.
Yes.
Greg? I think Chris, okay.
What's this block thing about in the middle of this? Buying a block? How do you get a block?
That was their, the idea of, she is talking about this.
Oh. Sorry, the pavement, we were looking at, for one of the fundraisers, pavement blocks.
Up to
That
the-
you've seen, and we would charge for them, and, and that would help pay for this project. And then it would be, of course, loved ones could put their family's name in there for private so-and-so or.
So it'd be like a walkway up to the memorial or around
Yep.
it or? Okay.
Yep, nothing's in
I like
stone
that.
yet. It's kind of like, either way, or maybe both, depending on how many papers you have. So, we've got one already set aside, for Colonel Eaton. He was in your dad.
He was. That was white.
Green vet, yeah.
Thank you, Mike, and we have consensus to move ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, let's see here. Moving on to 6I, sewer bill rate modification request, resident summer watering inquiry.
So the city has received a couple of inquiries about having sewer rate billing modifications implemented for the months of the year when the residents water their lawn. So right now, you're getting billed, your sewer bill is
Sewer bill
a
is based on the water
duplicate
usage.
of your water usage, correct? Correct. And so when this inquiry came forward, we just kind of started to discuss, well.
Hey, that's okay. Good to see you.
We just wanted to
Chief,
discuss.
hey Chief, if you have your taser out.
I was getting ready.
You are welcome.
I got a good
one-liner, but I can't say.
I get both at the same time.
Now you can see why we got nothing done with you.
You're not done yet, are you?
Essentially, I asked Phil, what does this look like? How can we implement this? Let's just bring some information forward to council. And so can you please share what your findings are?
So yeah, there's, I believe the city had something like this in the past. And correct? Used to have something like this in the past, yep. And I would assume it was probably just a deduction off of the usage versus some type of average usage.
I have no idea.
Probably.
Really, I wasn't living here at the time.
Okay.
I did, so.
It would probably be very similar to like our frozen water and sewer line policy, which is they're billed on an average of what their normal usage would be during that period of time we ask them to run their water service. In this situation, they would not be getting that charge on the sewer bill, if that makes sense. If we want to get really carried away, we could go ahead and put meters on the outside hose bibs and meter the water they're actually putting on the grass. That's not going down the sanitary. I mean, there's a couple options. I guess before we get that far, whether or not, regardless whether or not we get there, I guess, do we want to go down this path? Do we not? What does this look like? I do understand the concept behind it, and it makes sense. It totally does.
Would this be like just a flat thing across everybody's bill, or would be only the people that are using?
I would recommend we treat it very similar to our frozen water line policy, that the resident has to get a hold of the Public Works Department. We put them on a list. We go through a couple of questions, and then a start time and end time, that kind of thing. I mean, it does add a little bit more work, but I definitely see where.
Because I can't see charging people that aren't using it.
Correct.
So it'd have to be a requested deduction, kind of like an off-peak scenario.
Sort of, more like our running water policy.
Sure.
You're on the right path.
Sure.
Yeah, you'll get there.
But we also had discussions with Water and Light to make sure that this is something, because they facilitate the billing, that this is something that can be done and isn't burdensome. We did get a thumbs up from Water and Light, so it's merely, does council want us to kind of keep digging and try and present the best solution for this? We did look at the cost of those meters, are about $250 a piece. So there's the component, if a meter is going to be placed on a hose or spigot, so to speak, there's a $250 price tag on that. So there are other ways we can do it using averages and just looking for direction from council.
Well,
Yes.
well, wouldn't that charge be assessed to the person requesting it at $250 to have a meter put on?
That's all up for debate at this point. However that looks, I have no idea. The only thing I would say is, if we choose to move forward with something, I would like a policy in place moving forward, so it's black and white. There's no gray areas,
Yeah.
nothing slips through the cracks. But that would be obviously decided after you get it said.
I'm guessing you would store these meters every year and you reuse them till they quit.
Yeah, if I had a recommendation, I wouldn't use meters.
Say that again.
If I had a recommendation, I wouldn't use meters.
Okay,
It's gonna
you're
get, it's gonna
thinking
get
of-
very dirty.
It's
Okay,
gonna be costly to use.
Well, right.
okay. Walter, did you have a statement or a question?
Well, I mean, if we were to use meters, I mean, I wouldn't see making the taxpayers pay for just these people's, that want to do this. I also wonder, you know, are people going to be coming to us, like, say, I wash my car a lot, you know, and other things that people are using water for,
Sure.
you know.
Big swimming pool.
I wrote, when you're done, okay, great.
Oh, that's a good point.
Greg?
I guess my thing would be that, when you start say about washing your car, that's your normal, that would be normal, that's not a reason to have it changed. So it would be in Phil's best interest or Phil's job to make sure that what they ask for is what they could good. It has to be a purpose for it that's worthwhile.
Right.
Yes, Chris?
But I mean, I could see also that, you know, people get these big above ground pools that, you know, they're also watering their lawn, but then they're gonna put, I don't know how much water it takes to fill something like that.
Yeah.
You know, all
10,000.
what?
10,000.
Yeah, I mean, so,
But remember, they're still paying for the water usage.
Yeah.
They're still paying, I mean, they can let that run hose, I mean, that run hose, that whole run, I'm in the live selling business, right?
yeah.
Let's send it. I'm all
So
in.
it would just be.
It would just deduct the sewer, because that water would not go down the
Okay,
sewer system.
got it, got it,
Yep,
got it.
absolutely. I love it when they fill their
Okay.
pool 3 times in the wrong place, I love it.
Okay.
Because we sell water like crazy, it's
That-
great.
That makes more sense. Sorry, I missed it.
No, that's okay.
So-
No,
Okay, what are we asking for then?
direction.
Okay, are you, how would you charge them, okay, if we give you direction? How
We
would
would
you
sit
charge
down and
that
figure it out
with
first.
not a meter?
We'd sit down with Water and Light and essentially come up with a process and present it to council.
A policy.
And it would be a
Okay,
new
so you're
policy.
looking for
Yep.
consensus to move ahead, and you'll come back to us with your suggestion,
Correct.
but next month, they'll already be in using it by next month.
Possibly. It rains every other day now, so there should be no reason for
Okay.
that service right now.
So I guess consensus for them to move ahead to try to develop a program that will work for the city.
I just have one more comment,
Yeah.
question. Is this something that a citizen had requested, or is this just something that?
I got the request from the office, so
Trying to
I
be
don't know where it came in,
proactive
if it was
on
through.
last year's.
There was somebody,
I actually-
there was somebody
Let
that
me
came in
answer
and
it,
asked
because
for it.
I happen to be one of them that requested it, because I'm gonna put I'm gonna restart my whole yard again, and that needs the point that I'm gonna have to water it for 2 to 3 months.
Well, I agree, last year, everything was just
Yeah,
wrong.
and my yard, no, it's,
Okay,
And I hear complaints on this
Okay.
every single year.
okay,
Yep, it seems like every end of July and August I hear about it, absolutely.
I was just curious.
So do we have consensus?
Yes.
Yes.
So you have consensus to move ahead.
You have consent?
Thank you. Moving on to 6J, bio augmentation sludge reduction treatment quotes.
It's really fancy.
Yeah, leave it off, I'm just making some notes.
It's a really fancy way to talk about our bugs at the pond. And so Superintendent Etner has brought forward 2 different quotes to purchase the bugs. This was an item that was budgeted for in the 2024 budget. I guess explain your quotes and what you'd like to see.
So a couple of things. Yes, there's 2 quotes in here, but first we're gonna back up to this handout, which I apologize we missed the packet. That's on me, that was my mistake. So, we've seen this before, you might not remember it, and that's fine. I believe it was during budget season last year, we went over this. It was maybe September, August, something like that. There's a lot of information here. What this process is called sludge judging. We send out this super cool speedboat that's ran by remote control. I'm not kidding, it's really, it flies too. Across the sewer ponds, and it literally measures the depth of the pond, and then it also measures the depth of the sludge that's in the pond. So, sludge is obviously a byproduct of wastewater, right? That's how sedimentation will pond work. Over the course of time, that sludge level starts building up, typically deeper in the primaries than it does in the secondaries. I only had enough money to sludge judge 3 ponds this year instead of all 7 primaries that we have. The big thing, there's a lot of information in this packet, there's a lot of colors, which I'm sure the city administrator likes. The big thing that you need to take out from here is this main page here in front. And it's on 3 ponds, on 1, 2, and 3. And this is where all the information is we need to see. The average cost of sludge removal, that process literally is sending a machine in the pond. It's like a huge vacuum cleaner, and it sucks up all the sludge in the bottom of the pond and puts them in trucks, and it sends it right to WSSD. And it's extremely expensive to remove. So bioaugmentation is a biological process with bugs that eat the sludge, and they have about a 1.5 year life expectancy, but the volume of sludge that we have makes it so we need so many bugs, right? The big one here is the volume of sludge per cubic yard and the depth of the average sludge and the volume of sludge in gallons. That's the big one. And if you were to take those 3 ponds, 1, 2, and 3, the volume of sludge, add them up, multiply that. Okay, so hold on, I'm gonna back up just a second. I'm sorry. I took this, I did not give you guys the math because you probably won't be able to read my handwriting, but this is close, okay? If we took 240 gallons per day of wastewater per household, which is what the MPCA regulation ballpark average is for a household. You multiply that by 365 days, gives you 87,600 gallons of wastewater per year.
Per household.
Per household, yes, thank you very much. If you take that number and divide it across your total volume of gallons of what the sludge is taking from the pond. Because essentially this layer of sludge that we have in the pond, we're keeping it for whatever reason, I have no idea, right? We want to get rid of it, because that is extra capacity that we could then put in and have more ability to develop in our system, which has been a huge topic here in the last few years. The volume of sludge that we have in that pond equates to approximately 78 new homes. Right.
In one pond?
Nope, those 3 ponds as a whole.
3 ponds.
Those 3 ponds as a
Thank
Three
whole.
pounds, but that's still less than half the pond.
That's correct, we have 11. Yep. So, that's a really big deal. That's a huge deal. Because, and we definitely do not want to remove this sludge and send it offsite and pay for it. Because that would total up to be just shy of $500,000 if we had to go that route. Yes, sir.
Has this sludge been removed in the past?
Sludge has never been removed. Sludge has been dispersed and laid out to different areas of the ponds, especially in areas that have less sludge accrual in them. Typically, we have a predominant northwest wind. So typically, the southeast corners of all the ponds are a little bit heavier in sludge accumulation.
How much sludge will these bugs eat?
Very good question. That's a very good question. We try to, a healthy pond runs between 1 and 3 inches of sludge. If you look at these 3, ours are not healthy. So we are overloaded in sludge. I was told we can get somewhere around 3 to 5 inches of removal over a 3-year time. So it's not a fast process by any means,
Sure.
but it is definitely cheaper than mechanically removed.
Like how many inches of sludge are in there now?
So if you look at these main cover pages here, it'll give you the breakdown. So in pond 1 right now, the average sludge depth is just over a foot in pond 1. Pond 2 is about 8.5 inches, and pond 3 I believe is more.
Oh.
Pond 3 is about a foot. And Ryan, we're gonna take you out there. I am so bringing you out there and have you walk through.
Can I shoot the bugs out there?
No,
How long
sorry.
did you say the bugs lived?
Bugs have about a year and a half.
So over
These
the course of
processes-
3 to
Yes.
5 years?
Correct. These processes are made and put in place to happen here continually.
Okay.
Yep,
So this would be the first time we budgeted for it,
correct,
and the first time we're implementing it.
correct.
Didn't we buy bugs for another time? I
Mm,
thought we had bugs in there at one point.
not
The
that I'm
slingshot?
aware of. So we got some residual bugs okay. So we got some residual bugs
Slingshot.
from a neighboring town,
Okay.
and I wanted to do a pilot study on the pond. And
Borrowed some bugs.
we didn't have the, no, we actually got given to them. So anyway, we tried this pilot study. Turns out we didn't have the volume we needed. I mean, we needed way more, and these were given to us.
I do remember some about bugs
Yeah.
and this process.
Yeah, the application of it was amazing, actually, but it's really cool.
Don't they make and create more bugs?
Oh, do they
So
reproduce?
they do reproduce, they do, but not to the level that we want to see. It would include, these dosage rating of these bugs will.
You're covered in sludge, I mean.
It's hard to reproduce.
Yeah.
So this was a budgeted item for 2024. There is 2 quotes on the table, one from Team Lab for, I saw it somewhere.
16,890?
Page you got there, Chris? Yes, for $16,800, and then water treatment services, which is another bug provider, which there isn't a whole lot of them, for $25,725.
Pretty big difference.
Yeah.
There is a big difference, yep. Team Lab that is who we typically use for most of our chemical treatment already. They are the leader in the nation for wastewater chemicals.
Do you remember what was budgeted, the allotment?
I do not.
Okay.
I do not.
These both came in under.
I believe Team Labs did. I believe the other one came in a little higher. I want to say it's like 20 or
I
25.
think so.
Something like that.
Can I just ask this, maybe a dumb question, but it says they ship these. So how do we, like, open a can and just let them crawl out, or?
No, they're not. No. No, they come in packets.
Oh,
And as soon as they're put into the water, they take off and away they go.
okay.
Like dissolvable packets?
Yes.
Do you have to put them in the middle of the pond?
No, you can do around the perimeter of the pond.
So we can all have a field trip and we'll watch it.
That's a great idea.
Do you know how we put those in?
Well,
Did they show you pictures of how we?
there's a slingshot.
It's amazing. It's like a farm boy's dream. We have so much fun.
Oh.
Yeah.
Sounds like it.
It's a homemade slingshot that we built, and
You just fire it.
you just fire it. Yep.
But you haven't put any bugs in there before, right?
We had those ones from a
Oh.
neighboring town that we
Oh.
got rid of. Yes, yeah.
So you might maybe make more of these things.
I already made a couple, yeah.
Okay.
We're good.
Okay.
So items are budgeted, you're looking, there's 2 bids, you had a third one.
Yeah.
These bids, so you're looking for lowest bidder, or do you have a recommendation?
No, I'm looking for lowest bidder.
All right,
Yep.
so council, any discussion or motion?
One thing I want to say,
Yeah,
that 78 home thing, and I just did the math on this this afternoon, that's a really big deal. Especially with the issues we're fighting. And I mean, I've sat here now 2 or 3 months in a row looking at, telling you guys I was gonna look into other options for trying to increase our capacity at the ponds. 78 homes is huge.
And that's on three of the ponds.
It's only on 3 ponds.
So if we were to do the whole thing, it would be much more than 78. Okay. I'd make a motion that we accept the bid from Team Lab for $16,800.
we have a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion, questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carried. Thank you, Phil. Moving on to 6K hydraulic angle boom attachment quote.
I would actually like to table this and bring it back to you guys next month, if that's okay.
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
Very good, thank you. I should ask the council member to table that item.
I'd make a motion to table that item.
I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried, that is tabled. Moving on to 6L, residential development property hay harvesting discussion.
Yes, so, the property that was acquired from the school district for the residential development, at one point in time was being harvested for hay. And so the remainder of the school property still is. That particular gentleman contacted the city and asked if they could hay this, what now is the city's property that will soon be developed. So I inquired with the superintendent of the schools and was informed that they went through a public bid process to establish who was going to hay that field. And so looking for direction from council, that is something that we can facilitate. We facilitated many bid processes previously. If council would like to see that property, the hay on that property harvested, we will facilitate that process. Am I missing anything? No. Just looking for direction.
I'd like to see it still harvested.
Yeah, it's only better.
Harvested was simple back to school already does all the bidding process, right, for their, and that's probably per acre anyway. Some way they figured that out, they get paid so much, right?
I don't know how the school process works.
I don't know, but they do it by a bid, by.
I've been told they
bid
do.
process is what somebody was just saying.
Yep, I've been told that the district doesn't have
So,
to.
I mean, if the school goes through a bid process for the amount of money they get for the purpose of being able, however, as long as they've done the bid process, why should we add to fixture?
There's one item step that we have to take because we started going into an agreement with the developer And we really need to put him into this whole discussion because we're kind of dedicating that land to him. He may have ideas himself. So we do need to get him into this conversation also. Yes, sir.
I mean, okay. If he's into the conversation, the first thing is he gonna do anything with the property by the 1st of August? That would be our concern, because that's the time.
We'd have to ask these questions. And
That's what I
he
mean.
may say he doesn't care at all.
Right.
Or he may say, well, this is what I'm thinking. And then we could go on with that discussion. I'm sure they want direction real soon, so we'll have to, of course, get on it right away.
The public bid process would be a requirement of the city because the city owns that property at the time. And then to make sure that there's an equitable opportunity for everybody to be able to potentially harvest that property, we would want to make sure that it was public.
Very good. So you're looking for consensus to move ahead.
Yes.
And the council, you can make a decision to say no or to move ahead. Consensus to move ahead.
Well, the other choice would be that if we're gonna keep the property and say that he doesn't care what happens to it, we either do that or we have to mow it. Or not, or do we just want to let it go?
When he starts a development, he may be just clearing
Well,
everything.
yeah, they are.
Yeah. Yeah.
Didn't we already ask for consensus? And then we started a conversation?
No, not for this one. I didn't ask for it yet. Consensus to move ahead?
Move it.
Is that moving ahead with talking to
Right.
him first? If he approves it, then we go
Right.
well.
Right.
Yeah.
And by then, are you looking ahead to move ahead and accomplish it before the next council meeting?
Yes.
Okay, so part of that consensus would be to give Phil and Alyssa the direction. If the developer does not want to deal with it, then to go ahead with that process of harvesting.
Just to speed things up.
So move. Well,
Chris?
Yeah.
Yes. All right. Very good. Thank you. And you must have the next one.
I'm assuming if I don't, I'm gonna be asked.
Okay, M, adopt a drain discussion.
This was brought forward from a resident who participated in the concept in another area in the state. And so the information was shared with the city. I essentially, per resident's request, am bringing it forward. Phil, do you see that something like this could be advantageous? What are your thoughts?
It could cut down on a little bit of time. If, we have people who do decide to adopt a storm drain and they want to make sure it's cleaned off and that sort of message. It could cut down a little bit. I have to research the process of it a little bit more just to understand exactly what they're doing. And then if it's through I don't even know what's through, to be honest with you. But if there's any reporting that might go on with any of this, that, I don't know what that looks like. But as far as the adopted drain process, and people will be willing to keep an eye on their storm drain, clean it up if it's full of debris, yes, that will definitely save us some time. It'll be a good community outreach to some members of public works.
Greg, you had the question?
Well, I was just gonna ask, actually, if somebody, say if 25 of them get adopted, it would really, after that point, it would be little or nothing. If it'd been clean, Bill doesn't even have to look at it, he just goes by it, or whoever's doing it, so.
Yeah, there is a time savings as well because after a storm, they are driving by checking them.
Right.
So, that could be beneficial. It would just be the process of getting the program up and running, and what does that look like? So just looking to see if it's something council's interested in the city participating in, and then it would take more work after that.
Do we have consensus?
Much as this lady want to handle.
He had 2 drains.
Peter, how much does Peter want to handle? Oh,
Consensus?
I think it's worth looking into.
Yeah, I already have adopted a few dreams at one time.
You can sign it, Walt.
Uh,
Get it on the books.
Can they paint them and everything? Just kidding.
Put on the drain.
You have consensus, thank you, Phil.
Thank you.
Okay.
Moving on to number 7, reports and correspondence. 7A, bonding bill presentation, Representative Jeff Dotson, City of Moose Lake, I&I reduction project.
Just visibility as to what the handout was for the Senate Finance Committee with the city's presentation.
Any questions by the council? Okay. Moving on to B, Senator Klobuchar Congressional District Spending Form for FY25.
Again, this is just providing visibility to the city's submission to Senator Klobuchar's application for funding request.
So it's worthwhile for everyone to look through that.
Yes.
Moving on to number C, Senator Tina Smith Congressional Directed Spending Form for FY25.
They are
Same
the
thing.
same. Yep, they are the same between the two.
And before I move on, any questions on those two from council? Hearing none, moving on to D, letter of interest, the MLWSSD wastewater collection system contract.
Yes, the Moose Lake Windermere Sanitary Sewer District did put out a posting for an opening for an operator. They did say that it could be an individual and or contract opportunity. So the city did draft a letter and submit a letter of interest to operate the Moose Lake Windermere Sanitary Sewer District.
I think we were turned down.
We've not heard if we have an interview.
I don't think it's officially closed yet. We have hope yet.
There's hope. Maybe we get an interview.
Any questions for council? Hearing none. Moving on to 8, committee and board meeting minutes. 8A, Moose Lake Area Fire District meeting minutes, April 9th, 2024. 8B, Moose Lake Area Fire Protection District joint meeting minutes, April 30th, 2024. 8C, the Park and Recreation Board meeting minutes, April 1st, 2024. There was one other communication from Mr. Carlson, Bill
It's
Carlson.
going in next month.
Next month.
Yep.
Very good. Do you have any comment on his letter?
We can do that. Should we do that when it's in the packet?
Okay. I was just checking with you.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Moving on, any questions on those reports or correspondence from the council? Hearing none, moving on to 8, committee and board meeting minutes. 8A, Moose Lake Area Fire Protection District meeting minutes, April 9th, 2024. 8B, Moose Lake Area Fire Protection District joint meeting minutes, April 30th, 2024. 8C, the Park and Recreational Board minutes for April 1st, 2024. There's a 4-year review. Please bring any questions or comments to the city administration.
I just don't believe that the police, or the Fire Protection Board meeting minutes were as inclusive as they should be. That's just my opinion.
And these were given to us by the fire district,
correct.
correct? Yeah. Would you like that passed on to them?
No, I'm just making a statement
Thank you,
for the public to hear.
thank you. Moving on to announcements, regular Moose Lake City Council meeting Wednesday, June 12th, 2024, 4 p.m. right here. Moose Lake Economic Development Authority, Wednesday, May 15th, 2024, 12 p.m., the city conference room. Moose Lake Water and Light Commission regular meeting Tuesday, May 21st, 2024, 1 p.m., Water and Light Office. Moose Lake Housing Redevelopment Authority Board, Monday, May 13th, 2024, 11 a.m., Hillside Manor Office. Moose Lake Area Fire District, Tuesday, May 14th, 2024, 6:30 p.m. Emergency Response Center. Moose Lake Park Board meeting Monday, June 3rd, 2024, 5 p.m. also right here. Anything from the council? Administration? Do I have a motion to adjourn? Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We are adjourned. Thank you very much.